You are done, huh?
Yeah, we just take a
Okay. Cut, in fact, the register at head office. That 1.5 comprises capital expenditure of 7.8 billion, and therefore, elections proper will cost 23 billion. Elections proper. So if you are looking at that one, you subtract 7.8 billion capital expenditure, you come down to 23. Then subtract the conduct of elections, which is going to cost us 17.2 billion. And then the other items are basically small items like voter education, which is likely to cost us 1.9 billion. Then a few other issues, including recurrent expenditure. That is why you get to a figure of 23 billion. Otherwise, the bulk of this money is for elections, general elections. Nothing there for emoluments to commission staff. Capital expenditure, we mean items of non-recurring nature, things like motor vehicles. We intend to procure 200 motor vehicles at a total cost of 1.2 billion. We also intend to procure biometric voter registration equipment, which will cost 3.9 billion. Then we have poll books. The poll books will cost the Commission about 1.8 billion. And I think lastly, we have the ballot boxes. And the ballot boxes are costing about $1 billion. So basically that is the composition of the 7.8 billion, which is capital expenditure. You recall that when we were in Parliament, we had to isolate capital expenditure from other expenditure. And therefore, this is the item that brings us to 31.5 billion. Without capital expenditure, it's 23. Now, let me add that this capital expenditure, we are incurring it once. Come 2017, we don't need to buy new biometric voter registration material. We'll not buy new motor vehicles. So this is one-off expenditure. And these are equipment that are going to take us quite a number of years, perhaps 2-3 elections, before we replace the equipment or the capital items. The only thing you could hire are motor vehicles. But even if you are to hire motor vehicles on a daily basis for close to 10 months, you'll find that the cost is about 800 million. And therefore, you really do not solve anything. You're going to pay 800 million for about 10 months. Then after that, you do not have the vehicle. But if they were to give us the money, 1.2 billion, then that would mean we have the 200 vehicles. After elections, we are going to use these same vehicles in the process of continuous voter registration. So whichever way parliamentary committee looks at it, the Commission still requires vehicles because the Constitution has placed on us an onerous responsibility to continue registering voters. Even after the general elections in March, we'll continue registering voters. If you look at the 45,000 polling stations, we are going to have temporary staff, not people from civil service. So that is the main distinction for countries that run cheap elections and ourselves. We are using temporary staff from outside. Other countries use civil servants, and therefore they simply pay per diem, a small amount of money as per diem, and that brings down the cost. Basically at 17.5 billion, it is extremely difficult to run an election. However, having said that, I want to add that if that is the only amount available, then that would mean we are forced to reduce the number of polling stations. We'll have to reduce that considerably, and the greatest danger with a lower number of polling stations is elections spilling into a second day. So that is the danger I see. The other thing that would have to suffer is biometric voter registration. We might have to make a decision. If it is 17.5, then we do away with the biometric voter registration, therefore save 4 billion there, do away with the poll registers, perhaps also do away with the motor vehicles. But that is going to make our logistical issues a nightmare, because moving around during election time with hired vehicles is not an easy task. So there are just a few things that will suffer if that ends up as the final position from the executive.